All right, so we're going to import the data sheet for Dirty Hooker Diesel. Importing products from a data sheet's a two-step process. It requires two separate importers, one for the actual product variations and then one for the displays. On a sheet like this, it is going to wind up being a one-to-one correlation, but in many instances, you might have two, three, five variations in a display, and that's when you get the little drop downs like select color or material, stuff like that. So anyways, we're going to go structure, feed types, and we're going to add a feed type, and we'll call this DHD variations. Good enough, good enough. We want to make sure that we set the import period to off. We do not want it to process in the background every hour. We're going to change our fetcher to upload file because we're going to be uploading a file. This is my file over here. Parser, we're going to do a CSV sheet. Processor is going to be product variation. And typically there's only going to be one product variation type, and it's going to be default. We want to insert new product variations. If you were doing like a pricing update or something, we'd want to update existing product variations. It doesn't hurt anything to just set it now. Keep previously imported items, never expire variations. You can leave the owner as anonymous if you want, or you can set it to your username. And then we're going to go save and add mappings. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to set our SKU. That is what denotes unique products. We want to make sure we check the unique box. And on this particular sheet, the column header is stock ID. It will be different depending on your data source. It might say SKU, it might say part no. In this case, it says stock ID. So I'm actually just going to copy that. And then we're going to come back over to our site. We're going to select a source, new CSV column source. And I'm just going to paste that column header in there. You can save every column if you want, not necessary. In the current iteration, we have moved the brand and the category off of the variation and into the display, so the built-in promotions work as they're supposed to. So we're not going to worry about the brand name right now, but we do want a title. So we'll go to title, and again, new CSV column source, and we'll paste that in. I'm looking at our sheet. What else do we have? Price, that's an important one, so we'll grab price, and we're going to set price, not list price. We're going to set the price. And again, new CSV column source, and we'll just paste that in. Image. Okay, so this has two images in it, and it is actually separated by a semicolon. I was hoping I could highlight that, but I don't know how they have this formatted. Whoops. But there are two images, semicolon delimited. So we'll need to keep that in the back of our mind for the next phase. We're going to set the image, and file ID is going to be new CSV column source, and that is the whoops, that's the wrong one. So we want image 1. And we need to change this where it says reference by file name. We want to reference by file ID. And if the image already exists, you have a couple of options. You can replace the image, you can rename the image, or you can just ignore it. Renaming is the safest, but you can end up with duplicate images on your site, but that should work just fine. Now for alternative text, what I typically will do, and I'm actually going to hit the save right now so that it has a record of everything we've done so far. Excuse me. So I'm going to, for the alternative text, I'm going to actually set it to the stock ID, which will put the SKU number as alt text for the image, which will help SEO and fun stuff like that. We don't do title because we don't want that rendering on top, and it doesn't really carry much weight anymore. So next we're going to do dimensions, and it's going to give us 3 sources: length, width, and height. First thing is we don't want meters, we want inches. So we'll update that. Whoops, that did not take. I want file ID. I must have forgot to hit the update button. There we go. Now that's correct. Okay, so for the dimensions, same thing. New column source, length, new column source, width, and new column source, height. Okay, and we'll just hit save. Looking at our sheet, the next thing is the description. So we'll get that, and that's going to be called the product description. So we'll go to product description, new CSV column source, and we'll paste that in. And then we want to change our format from plain text to, whoops, full HTML. And that way all the paragraph tags and anything else that's in there will display property. And that's actually all that's in this sheet. There's not much there. If you had more columns, again, these are all the different targets that we can do. I did miss one. We need to do weight. Weight. And we'll change the unit to pounds instead of kilograms. And new CSV column source, weight. And we're going to hit save. Okay, now, because there are multiple images per column, we need to do what's called a tamper on that. And so we're going to go over to tamper, and we're going to find our image, and we're going to add plugin. And what this allows us to do is kind of massage the incoming data before the system tries to save it. Oh no. And I guess with my screen recorder that is not, there we go. It was acting weird, I think, because of the screen recorder. What we want to do is we want to explode those. So we go from one line with several to essentially multiple lines. So we're going to explode. And the string separator, we typically will use the pipe symbol. This particular sheet is using the semicolon symbol. So that is very important. If those don't match, you'll wind up with no images because it won't be able to process them. And so we'll submit on that. And I think that's the only thing we need to worry about on this particular sheet. And so we'll go ahead and just make sure everything is saved, and we're good there. So now to actually do the import, we're going to go over to content, and we're going to go to feeds, and we're going to add a feed. And we're going to use the feed type that we just created, which is DHD variations. And it's going to want a name, so DHD variation. And then it's going to ask for the file. And that's our file. And then we're just going to hit save and import. And that little progress bar is going to kind of bounce around a whole bunch. Oh boy, that did not go well. Okay, so these image files do not have extension on them. Okay, so what we're going to do in this particular instance is we're going to see if we can cheat this. So I'm actually going to go back here and go to tamper. And what I want to do is I want to take the file name and change it a little bit. So I want to rewrite this. And what I want to do so essentially I'm taking the name that's being passed in and I'm adding .jpeg to it. Honestly don't know if this is going to work or not, but we're going to try it and find out. So I'm going to go back to content. And we're going to try to import it again. Well, the fact that it is going so slow is encouraging because it looks like it's actually getting the images and saving them. And this is why good data is so important. It just makes things much more difficult when you have to deal with things like this. Okay, that did not work. So I'm going to go back to my feed types and I'm going to modify the tamper on this. I'm going to get rid of this because that didn't seem to do anything for me. Okay, and so what I did is I went through the sheets and I manually put the .jpeg on for all of them. So hopefully that solves that issue. So I need to save my file now. I've also got rid of the formatting on price. We don't want any formatting or anything. So we're going to go back again to content feeds. And now because I changed the file, I need to edit this. And I'm going to remove this. And even though the file's got the same name, it is different. And so I'm going to pull that back in and we'll try this again. Okay, so finally got it to go most of the way